Imagine stepping into Las Vegas today and finding the neon lights still glowing, but with almost no one left to chase their shimmer. Entire casino floors stand deserted, rows of slot machines blinking into the silence like relics abandoned overnight. Where once crowds of tourists pressed against each other for a seat at the blackjack table, there are now empty chairs gathering dust. The real shock, however, is not only in these hollow gaming halls, it's outside, where workers who once kept this city alive, dealers, housekeepers, bartenders, are now sleeping in cars, huddling in tents, or lining up for shelters. Entire families are being forced onto the streets, creating an invisible crisis that is rarely shown on glossy tourism ads. This is not a story of temporary hardship. It is a spiral that continues to pull deeper every month. And here's the brutal irony. Las Vegas was built on the promise that anyone could arrive with little and leave with much. But today, the very people who gave tourists that illusion are the ones stripped of stability, crushed by soaring rents and a cost of living that no wage in hospitality can keep up with. In a city once marketed as the ultimate escape, thousands cannot even afford a roof over their heads. The nightmare doesn't stop there. Rising fears of crime in tourist corridors, flights arriving with more empty seats than ever, and hotel managers quietly slashing prices to fill rooms all point to one disturbing reality. This city is no longer what it pretended to be. It has become a cautionary symbol, not of opportunity, but of how the cost of living in America can dismantle even the most iconic playground overnight. This is the Las Vegas spiral few dare to show you. The moment where dazzling lights mask a darkness that is swallowing its own people. Las Vegas was never just a city. It was a carefully engineered illusion. For decades, travelers flew in from across the globe not only to gamble, but to taste the promise of a life beyond limits. The Strip was more than a boulevard of hotels. It was a stage where dreams were choreographed, from the sparkle of fountains to the thunder of sold-out concerts. Even the architecture screamed ambition. Pyramids lit against the desert night, replicas of Paris and Venice conjured in the middle of Nevada's emptiness. It was America telling the world, here, even the impossible feels normal. But illusions are fragile. What once felt like the world's playground now shows cracks at every corner. Visitors today describe wandering through vast lobbies echoing with emptiness, or walking down sidewalks once choked with performers and crowds, now interrupted by boarded storefronts. Where the Strip once pulsed with energy 24 hours a day, stretches of silence now fill the gaps. Tourists still arrive, yes, but fewer linger, and those who do spend less, haunted by the reality that everything costs more while offering less. The contrast is staggering. Think of the 1990s and early 2000s when Las Vegas set tourism records almost every year, and workers proudly said that one job in a hotel could support a family, a car, and even a modest house. Fast forward to the present, a single paycheck no longer covers rent for a studio apartment, and overtime hours vanish with every round of layoffs. The city that once symbolized excess is now a case study in scarcity. This shift didn't happen quietly. Locals will tell you about the moment they began to notice casino floors thinning, shows shortening their seasons, and even iconic buffets disappearing. These are not isolated incidents. They are signals of a systemic unraveling. Las Vegas is being hollowed out, and unlike the grand illusions it once sold, this hollowing is painfully real.
At the heart of Las Vegas's unraveling is a crisis bigger than flashing lights or empty casino floors. It's the crushing weight of the cost of living in America, pressing hardest on those who can least afford it. For years, the city relied on service workers willing to trade long shifts for the dream of stable housing and modest comfort. But now, those same workers are discovering that even full-time jobs cannot outpace skyrocketing rents, food prices, and basic expenses. In Clark County, median rents have surged far beyond what a hotel cleaner or a card dealer can pay. Groceries in a desert city already came with a premium, but inflation has multiplied the strain. Add in utility bills that spike during brutal summers, and suddenly thousands of families find themselves one missed paycheck away from the streets. This is not a crisis of personal mismanagement. It is the math of survival failing. The irony is impossible to miss. Las Vegas, a city that thrives on visitors spending freely, has become unaffordable for the very workers whose labor makes the illusion possible. While tourists recoil at $40 breakfast buffets and rising resort fees, residents stare down eviction notices and impossible grocery bills. Both groups face the same truth. What once felt indulgent is now unattainable. And this isn't just a Las Vegas problem. It is the same pattern repeating in cities across America, where wages remain flat, but the essentials of life climb higher every month. In this desert oasis, though, the contrast is harsher. When casinos cut staff to save money, when hotels shrink their benefits to stay afloat, the human cost is immediate. Families lose homes, children lose stability, and workers lose the fragile thread keeping them tied to the American dream. The cost of living has transformed Las Vegas into a cautionary tale. It shows us how quickly a city built on excess can collapse when the basics, housing, food, security, become luxuries out of reach. Behind every glittering sign on the Strip, there are thousands of invisible stories that rarely make headlines. These are the stories of the very people who once made Las Vegas run like clockwork, the cocktail servers who never let a glass go empty, the cleaners who turned over hundreds of hotel rooms a day, the blackjack dealers who kept the tables alive with banter. Today, many of them are not returning home after their shifts. They have no home to return to. The numbers tell a brutal truth. In Clark County alone, thousands of workers now live without stable housing, and the growth of makeshift encampments around the city has been staggering. In some neighborhoods, entire rows of tents line the sidewalks where tourists once strolled. Families crowd into cars parked behind supermarkets while children struggle to do homework under the glow of streetlights. These images shatter the illusion of Las Vegas as the city of dreams and replace it with the reality of a city in survival mode. It is not just the loss of jobs that drives this crisis, but the steady erosion of security. When casino floors go quiet and hotels cut staff, a wave of instability ripples outward. A single layoff can mean the loss of health insurance, missed rent, and the sudden slide into homelessness. Unlike the tourists who can leave after a disappointing weekend, workers have nowhere else to go. The Strip has become both their employer and, ironically, their undoing. For locals, the heartbreak is personal. Some who once lived in apartments a short bus ride from their jobs now face eviction after rents doubled in less than a decade. Others who thought they had built modest savings are forced to choose between paying utilities or keeping their car, the only shelter left when the landlord changes the locks. The dream of Las Vegas as a place where you could build a life has inverted. Now, for many, it is the place where life fell apart. If the workers of Las Vegas are fighting for survival, the tourists, the lifeblood of the city, are quietly slipping away. Once, families saved for months to spend a weekend on the Strip, confident they would return home with memories of indulgence and wonder. But now, travelers are calculating the costs and deciding that Las Vegas no longer delivers the magic it promises. Flights into Harry Reid International are arriving with lighter passenger loads. Rising airfare, paired with higher hotel prices, has made what was once an affordable getaway feel out of reach. Even the fabled buffets, once symbols of unlimited extravagance, have shrunk in size while doubling in cost. Visitors step into hotel lobbies only to be met with surprise fees, resort charges, parking costs,
add-ons that bloat a weekend bill into something resembling a month's rent in another city. And then comes the unease. Tourists talk about walking the strip and noticing the growing presence of tents and people sleeping rough, the kind of scenes that clash with the illusion of glamour. Rumors of crime, whether proven or not, spread quickly and stick in people's minds. A single unsettling encounter, an aggressive panhandler, a street brawl, or simply the sight of boarded-up shops can sour an entire vacation. For many families, the decision becomes simple. Why risk disappointment when other destinations offer more value for less? The result is a vicious cycle. As fewer tourists arrive, casinos cut back, workers lose shifts, and the city sinks further into decline. The neon lights still blaze across the desert sky, but fewer people care to come see them. What was once billed as America's playground now feels like a gamble no one wants to take.
Las Vegas was built on the promise that anyone could come with a few dollars in their pocket và vågt vào into một world of possibility. That promise no longer holds. The Strip today is not designed for the average traveler or the working-class local. It caters to the wealthy elite who can afford to shield themselves from the city's unraveling reality. High-end suites remain occupied, luxury shopping malls still attract affluent visitors, and VIP rooms hum with quiet activity even as the main casino floors stand half-empty. Exclusive concerts and private events draw those who can drop thousands of dollars without blinking. For the wealthy, Las Vegas is still a playground, but it has become a private one, walled off from the struggles outside. Meanwhile, the rest of the city is locked out. Locals earning hourly wages can no longer afford the housing near their jobs, let alone a night of entertainment on the Strip. Middle-class families who once treated themselves to an annual trip now find that the price of flights, hotels, and meals equals what they spend on essentials for an entire month back home. The very culture of Las Vegas, once loud, open, and accessible, has narrowed into an exclusive club where money is the only ticket. The divide is jarring. On one end, you see billionaires sipping champagne in rooftop lounges. On the other, you see families sleeping in cars parked in casino garages. The city that once prided itself on offering something for everyone now offers almost nothing to those who need it most. What was sold as a dream destination has split into two realities: the glittering refuge of the wealthy and the unforgiving struggle of everyone else. This new divide is not just an economic gap, it is a moral fracture. Las Vegas has become a symbol of what happens when the cost of living in America rises beyond reach, creating a society where abundance exists side by side with abandonment. Las Vegas still glitters at night. The neon signs still stretch into the desert sky, promising escape, indulgence, and fortune. But behind that glow lies a city unraveling under pressures it can no longer contain. Casinos are quieter, workers are scattered, and tourists are leaving with lighter wallets and heavier doubts. The so-called entertainment capital of the world has become a mirror reflecting something much larger: the deepening cracks in the American dream. What is happening in Las Vegas is not isolated. It is the sharpest edge of a blade cutting across the nation. The cost of living in America reaching levels where housing, food, and security are no longer guaranteed. The service workers of the Strip are the canaries in the coal mine, warning that when wages cannot keep up, when rents climb beyond reason, when a city loses its balance, collapse follows. And the spiral is not finished. As long as families are pushed into cars, as long as tourists question whether the city is worth the cost, and as long as the divide between luxury and poverty grows wider, Las Vegas will remain a cautionary tale of how fast a place can fall. This is no longer just about one desert city. It is about the direction of a nation. The question is not whether Las Vegas can recover, but whether America is willing to confront the forces making its icons crumble. Because if a city that once promised endless opportunity can break under the weight of living costs, then nowhere is safe from the same fate.
So, as the lights continue to glow, ask yourself, how long can the illusion hold before the spiral pulls the rest of America into the same darkness?